Hey y'all. I know there's a lot of suffering in the world and pain in our personal life situations. I want to encourage you to take a breath, a deep breath, and acknowledge something you're grateful for. I'm feeling grateful for the opportunities I've had because of the privileges I have, because of the privilege I have. Gratitude doesn't fix the stressors under capitalism and the empire, but if I ruminate on the pain for too long without creating space for anything else, I will spiral. That's the ego clinging to the pain, to the oppression. The ego is desperate to grab onto identity. It's why people chase status, money, beauty, fame, all the accolades. It tries to convince us that it's real and that we are it because its greatest fear is non-existence, death. The ego would like us to believe that we are the mind and body and that life is a summation of how we're feeling, the pain, and our life circumstances, but this isn't true. Life is love, light, and consciousness. It's none of the other shit, and you at your core are life. Not identifying with the pain of almost 29 years of existing in this body is completely brand new to me. It's all I've ever known how to do, and it led me to depression, addiction, failed relationships, and more pain because that's what pain does. It breeds more pain. I was pain for so long, and it spilled out into everything and onto everyone. I have a responsibility to stop doing that. It's so easy to believe that we are the emotions we experience. Language matters. When we say, I am depressed or I am pissed off, we are identifying with those experiences of the mind and body. We can easily go from there and just let them control us. What about I'm noticing depression in my body? My chest is heavy, my eyes are red and swollen, I'm noticing a desire to self-destruct. This is one way to start radically changing your experiences in the body that you inhabit. Identifying with my true being and denying the ego by noticing the mind and how the body responds to the mind through emotions, by connecting to stillness through the portals of breath, space, silence, nature, and God as I understand her is where I'm finally finding clarity and wholeness. None of this negates that the pain is there, but we don't need to let it define or consume us. We can be alchemists and transmute the pain into energy by taking action where we can. Action in the long term for me has looked like seeing a therapist, taking psych meds, joining communities where I can create change, forming a union in my workplace. In the short term, taking action can be as simple as taking a deep breath, asking for help, setting the phone down, taking a nap, petting your cat, going for a walk, or screaming. Again, we are alchemists. We not only take action where we can, but we also accept this current moment. We don't resist it because resistance is pain. They are the same thing. When we accept the current moment, we stop resisting what we can't change now, what we can't change about the past, and what we can't change about a future that hasn't even happened yet. In this current moment, you'll usually find that there aren't any problems. I mean, like as soon as you check in with the now, it's past and you're already in a new present moment. Do you see what I mean? But if there are problems in your now, we talked about how you can take action. But the now with problems or without problems requires that you accept what is and surrender to that fact, because the other option is to resist. I promise you, resisting is the path of pain. I have done it my whole life. Most of us have lived this way. Can you resist and take action? I guess. But if resistance is pain and we want to stop the pain, then no, unless you want to continue contributing to your own suffering. Acceptance doesn't mean being okay with the horrors of the world. It means finding stillness in the present moment. And I've found that finding stillness is the most difficult when the horrors are in your face. But don't confuse non-resistance with non-action, or my call to non-resistance as a call to do nothing while, for example, genocides are happening. Non-resistance in the way I'm talking about it for a Palestinian right now looks like a lot of action and literal resistance because there are problems, violent and evil problems in their present moment. They have had to accept those problems as real in order to fight and flee, and they've been accepting those problems for way, way too long. The truth remains that anyone experiencing anything can practice being, separating the self, the true self, from the pain, the violence, the life situation. I'm privileged to not be living in a war zone. I'm not a refugee. I'm not living in absolute poverty. So this insight, this wisdom, this truth is coming from a place where I have way more internal space to practice and process all of this. I don't think this change in me would have happened if I wasn't in India. So I am forever grateful for this experience because it allowed me to get away from the insanity of daily American life where our nervous systems are constantly activated and the ego has a billion distractions and things to identify with. This acknowledgement of my privilege and making that distinction is what separates what I'm saying from folks currently preaching spiritual bypassing. And I am forever committed to using my privilege as an educated person from the West, as a man and as a lighter-skinned Black person, to help make the world a better place and to love radically in my actions, through my art, with my advocacy, and I hope you do the same, where and when you can. All we truly have is the present. I've been saying that so much because it's true, and it quickly becomes the past while the future remains unknown. Forgetting this and not checking the ego is what makes all of us sick and mad and insane. We are contributing to our own suffering, and that suffering manifests in absolute horror. Just look around. We are the only species that causes this much harm to each other and to the planet. And what differentiates us from the other forms of life on this planet? The ego. Can you begin to see the connections here? Do you see why I've become so dedicated to integrating spirituality not only into my human rights work, but into the framework and praxis of collective liberation? You have to remember who you are. You are divine. And when you see your fellow human, remember that they are divine too. Even the most wicked and most sick of us are divine. That doesn't excuse perpetrating evil, not by any means. It does, however, allow us to see reality, to see past the rage, the hate, and disgust that are so easy to not only feel, but to become. These feelings will consume you if you let them. I'm just reminding you of who we are and the realities of being consciousness inside of a body, which you are not, and that body is operated by a mind, which you are not. Liberation will come not only through a tearing down of the empire, but through a raising of our collective consciousness. We have to move humanity to a state of true being, to disidentification with the ego and a reconnection to our source, to truth, if we ever want actual peace. And no, not the white man's definition of peace, not the oppressor's definition of peace. Those are illusory. Under that definition, the planet and the people stay sick. Power dynamics are maintained, and we don't all get to be free. That's the kind of freedom I'm talking about. Spiritually and collectively, they are interconnected. We cannot separate the two sides of the same coin. I swear I'm almost done talking. I just want to name that psychedelics. I know that's kind of coming out of left field, but not really. Psychedelics can be a great tool to explore these truths and the interconnectedness of all things. It's why I'm a part of the decriminalization movement, and my motivations for being a part of that have only been strengthened since settling into this new way of existing in this body and in the world and with pain. My relationship with pain has changed. You can also explore these truths by following me and others who think like me, reading, meditating. All of this comes out of India, of Hindu philosophy. But most importantly, you can do this right now. You can practice this. Right now, you can begin this change. You are not the hamster wheel of endless thoughts in your mind that constantly has you living in the past and worrying about the future. You are so much more. You are not the grief that you may be drowning in. You are not the pain of the world. And as you begin connecting with your breath and observing your emotions and not identifying with them, same with the thoughts. No, the mind will not shut up ever. That's just being human. You'll notice something there. A witness, an energy, a being. That's you. And I see you. And I love you, even though I don't know you. And I believe that we're going to get through this together. If any of this resonated, or even if it didn't, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, free Palestine. A free Palestine is a freer world for all of us. It's one step closer to a world where we take care of each other and systems of oppression don't have the upper hand. We get to decide what the world looks like. We get to be and share ourselves fully with one another. We don't have to work so hard. We just get to love and be. Stay strong, stay motivated, stay connected, stay angry, but don't identify with the anger. It's not you. Remember who you are. Okay. Namaste.